Is that better? There we go. We're on now. I'll ask one more time. Is there any conflict of interest? If not, we're going to move into our public participation. And I believe that we have Vicki Page.
I am here.
All right, Vicki, you're on.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Vicki Page, and I'm in the lead district, and I'm here tonight to address part of your agenda, which is 14 appointments, and specifically 14A, citizen volunteers. I was looking over the board agenda yesterday morning, and I looked specifically for the citizen volunteer portion of it, and I saw that that in addition to myself, for the Central Virginia CVRL Governing Board, there's another candidate, Shauna Hunter. As soon as I saw Shauna's name, I knew that I needed to withdraw my name because she is an excellent candidate. I would love to serve on the board. I've enjoyed serving on the board, and I want to thank you all for the opportunity that you have given me by appointing me to the board. I think I served out one person's end of term because they resigned, and then I served a full term. So while I would certainly love to continue to serve on the board because I love my library, because I love the library, then I am withdrawing my name for consideration because you have such an excellent candidate in Shauna Hunter, and I am heartily endorsing her to serve on the board. So again, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to have served on the board, and I just really think you all, the library would be best served by having Shauna as a board member.
Thank you, Ms. Page. We appreciate that. Is there anyone else? We don't have anyone else who has signed up for. Yes, ma'am.
Letter that she emailed to the board is in the table pack,
Okay,
and her withdrawal is reflected in the addendum,
okay,
citizen volunteer appointments.
all right. We don't have anyone else who has signed up. Is there anyone else online or I guess on the phone that would like to address the board at this time? At this time, we're going to close the public participation and go to our comments. Ms. Pride?
No comments.
Myself, no comments this evening. Ms. Patty?
I just like to say I'm really thankful to see everyone here and smiling faces and great weather. Good to see you.
Beverly, I'm going to back up one moment and say that I do want to, and I'm speaking on behalf of the board here too, and extend our sympathy to the Cove family in this tragedy that's going on. And if there's anything that we can do as a county or whatever else, please contact Doug or myself or anyone else as far as that's concerned. Beverly, I'm sorry about that.
I would like to make a comment on last week's joint meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
During the joint meeting between this board and town council, Supervisor Wilk shared his concerns and statistics regarding our county school system. While my approach may be a little different than my colleague, I too am concerned about our students, teacher, and faculty. The detrimental effects of the pandemic has been a challenge for our school system. The last 15 months has taken a toll on all of us, but the hardest hit was our children. Some teachers shared with me their struggles and frustrations during that time, and I want them to know I heard you. I heard you. My hope is that this board, along with Dr. Johnson and the school board, can come together and exchange ideas. You know, it takes a village to raise a child. Perhaps it takes a village to educate one. I know together we can make a difference in our children's lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
No, I don't have any comment.
Bobby?
Just my thoughts also with the Cove family, and it's nice to be out without having to worry about that mask.
I agree with you 100%. Jerry?
Again, extending condolences to the Cole family, and again, just thank everyone for being here and continue to be safe and encourage others in Prince Edward County to be vaccinated. Our overall percentage rate for fully vaccinated is about less than 30%. That's not good. And so we all need to encourage others, and I'll tell them all the reasons why, it's important that they become fully vaccinated. So, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jerry. Lou?
Also, my condolences to Billy's family. I would say Billy was a very good friend of mine, and I will miss him. Thank you.
All right, at that time, I guess we're on to the consent agenda, which you've had, everyone's had the, are there any questions, additions, deletions?
No, but I move that we vote in favor of the consent agenda.
There's been a motion made. Jerry, you second?
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded to accept the consent agenda as presented. All those, I guess we still need to do the vote. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
One little thing I showed Doug, a little misprint. He's gonna take care of that.
So moved then.
I agree.
All right. I will say that to be done as presented and corrected, correct? Yes, sir. All right. I guess we're on to the budget appropriations.
Mr. Chairman, on April 27, 2021, the board approved the FY22 budget for Prince Edward County. The resolution adopted on that date listed a total budget of $62,634,751, which included a school budget of $27,555,143 and a school cafeteria budget of $1,428,574. In your packet, there are attachments. It's the annual resolution of appropriations for the County of Prince Edward for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2022, and the listing of amounts to be specifically appropriated by the board by department or fund. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we'd ask for your approval tonight of those two items.
So moved.
Second.
Then a motion made and seconded for the,
I just want to clarify that it's referencing, and we need the dollar amounts there, Ms. Patty, if you could state the sample resolution there for the record. Let me read it.
I was gonna say, read it
I'll
over.
read it. So the motion would be that Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors adopt the resolution of appropriations for FY 21-22 Prince Edward County budget as approved on April 27, 2021 in the amount of $62,634,751, which includes the approved school budget of $27,555,143.
So moved.
All right,
So,
all right, it has been properly made and seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby? Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, I guess we're going to page 85 with appropriations, is that correct?
Yes, sir. So, and I'll cover this for Cheryl. So Sheriff Epps is requesting to move forward with the two 911 soft terminals approved in the FY21 budget to remain in compliance with the next generation radios and CAD system. Currently, the appropriate amount is $22,500. The quote came in at $25,279, which includes the first year's annual maintenance of $2,629 and an additional $150 for equipment cost. At this time, we're asking the board to approve moving forward and appropriate the additional $150 to cover the cost for communications equipment and $2629 for the maintenance agreement, along with the actual purchase. So the sample motion is that the board approve the request to purchase at a total cost of $25,279 as outlined in the quote with those two other appropriations.
So moved.
second.
Been a motion made and seconded for the appropriations of the money for the sheriff's department. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Yes.
Jerry? Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
So moved.
The next one is the Poplar Hill CDA special levy appropriation for the FY21 budget. It's currently $92,004, which include the adjustment in February to meet the treasurer's billed amount. They were able to collect an additional $94,180 in back delinquent taxes, and I think that's been in the works for a number of years, so congratulations to the treasurer's office for getting that done. But that money has to be appropriated before it can be sent to the CDA.
I noticed two different figures on that. In one place in the book, talks about 94,000, another place from 96.
It should be the 94,180, Mr. Welk. It's in that little box there for the budget amendment.
I make a motion, we approve the budget amendments that's stated above.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve this to go to the CDA. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
Well, excuse me, one question. When is that gonna be paid out?
It'll be paid out before this end of the month, before the end of the fiscal year, to clean it up. Otherwise, we get into having it appropriate next year. The next item is, the town of Farmville was awarded an additional $1,229.46 as part of the COVID-19 Municipal Utility Relief Program, and asked Prince Edward to again serve as our partner fiscal agent to receive the funds from the Department of Accounts. So at this time, we'd ask that the board approve the budget amendment of $1,229.46 for that purpose.
So moved.
Second.
There has been a motion made and seconded to approve this to the town of Farmville. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
The last one, earlier this year, we had to repair the Manor sewer pump. It's one of two pumps out there. It went bad. Due to the unexpected expense, they're asking the board to appropriate an additional $10,256 to cover the sewer maintenance line, to cover the bill from electric and mechanical resources. The total amount was $11,555, but at this time, we only need an additional appropriation of $10,256. I do want to thank the town of Farmville's Public Works crew who helped Randy pull the pump and then also put it back in once it was repaired.
Move that we approve the budget amendments.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion made and seconded for the budget amendment. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
So moved. All right, is Roma on the phone?
Roma is actually still recovering
she's
in
still-
Oklahoma. So Ms.
In Oklahoma.
Ms. Kim is here to give her report tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like me to give it right here? Would you like
Anywhere you'd like to,
Come up to the
ma'am.
microphone, Kim, probably better.
So, Mr. Stanley and members of the board, good evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kimberly Allen, and I'm currently the Family Services Supervisor at Prince Edward Social Services. And I've recently been appointed to replace Ms. Morris at the end of this month upon her retirement. I've been with Prince Edward Social Services for 18 years nearly. Next month will be my 18th year. And so I look forward to transitioning to a new role within the agency, and I look forward to working with the county administration, with you guys as a board, and of course with our community to serve the needs of our children and families. As Mr. Stanley mentioned, Director Morris, she is out of town. She was cheering on the JMU Dukes, and I guess she's on a plane headed back home. So she asked me to fill in for her tonight and just give a brief update on what's going on in our office. Our fiscal year ended on May 31st, and with that, I'm happy to say that we are 100% caught up on our rent to the county, and so we will move forward in our month-to-month agreement, rental agreement and payments, and we appreciate the board working with us on that to get that all cleared up and taken care of. As far as our office, I'm happy to say that we're fully staffed at this point. We've had some turnover over the last year, but in the last quarter, we've been able to fill 3 benefit program specialist positions, and they're doing great in their job right now. They're getting a mixture of some virtual state training as well as a hybrid classroom type of environment that our supervisors and our senior workers have kind of compiled for them to get a hands-on experience. And the remainder of our staff is continuing to utilize the virtual trainings through the state. The state has said that moving forward, they believe that about 75% or more of those trainings are going to be virtual for the foreseeable future. They realized through this pandemic that virtual training and virtual networking is possible, and it comes with a huge cost savings to the state and to the local agencies. I know we have experienced a savings in that regard from not having to utilize expenses for travel to Roanoke or our Richmond training sites. And another major thing that's going on with us, we've had an influx of Child Protective Services and Adult Protective Services reports, as well as applications for benefits like Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, our SNAP or food stamp program, as well as Medicaid. And so the workers have worked diligently. They're working hard day in and day out, processing those. We just had our agency dashboard released in draft form, and that was for the third quarter of fiscal year 21. And the statistics look great. We're processing applications in a timely manner, and we're meeting the state target rates for services as well. And just throwing out a couple of upcoming dates. Our public health emergency procedures are still in place for our Medicaid program. So there will be no reduction or termination in coverage of Medicaid for folks right now through at least July. And that will likely change and either be extended or ended. And certainly we'll work hard to get that information out to our recipients, our benefit recipients, as well as the community as a whole. Another date to throw out is our cooling assistance program will begin next week on June 15th, and will run through August 16th. So we encourage your constituents to call us, and if they have questions about it or need help applying for that or getting that settled, we'll be glad to help them. And lastly, our Family First funding will become available on July 1st, 2021, and that is the provision of evidence-based programs for families and children. It's the first time ever that federal funding can be used for preventative services or foster care services to families. And here locally, we have one service that is provided, that is approved, and that is functional family therapy. We've seen it used in cases through our family assessment and planning team, and we've seen it be successful. And so we're excited that we have this huge chunk of federal money that we can now use to serve the families and children underneath that. We will be using our family assessment and planning team as kind of a case review process for those to determine the appropriateness of those services. So that will come down the pike on July 1. That funding will become available. So with all of that, that's kind of an update of what's going on in our agency. And I look forward to working with all of you guys, and thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Scott, we're gonna get you in on time, maybe.
I appreciate that. Okay. I got a short but good update about what's going on in the county with road matters. We finished our primary mowing several weeks ago, and we started mowing on our secondary routes. And with our fiscal year, you guys mentioned that yours is wrapping up. Ours must run the same as yours. Our fiscal year is wrapping up. We had enough money left in our budget to bring our contractors in and start doing some mowing with them, and that's freed our guys up to get a lot of stuff done that's been sort of lagging after the ice storm. And then the fact that we're kind of on schedule and got that money the way we want it, we're going to be starting the widening on 604 next week. It's going to be a slow start, and we're going to work the bugs out, and then we're going to get going. We think we'll be done in 3 or 4 weeks after we get started good. We're using some of our leftover FY21 budget to make sure we spend as much of it as we can before the fiscal year runs out. We've been putting stone on our gravel roads throughout the county. Your constituents may have seen us out there doing that. Sometimes the dust complaints pick up a little bit right after we do that, but it typically works itself out pretty fast after that new stone's down. We're got our surface treatment is going to start in the somewhat near future. Don't have an exact date yet on Route 612 is going to be surface treated with we call it our, my mind's slipping me at the moment, but our surface treatment schedule, that's where we use a contractor to come in and do multiple counties. The Prince Edward one has 612 on it this year. But ahead of that, we're gonna put plant mix asphalt down in the bad areas where it's settled or maybe, rutted with cracking. We're gonna fix all those bad spots. And we're actually out there currently doing that, in between 696 and 607. We're also doing the same type of work on 636, fixing the bad spots, putting plant mix asphalt down. And we're gonna surface treat those spots that we do that to ourselves. That's not part of the surface treatment schedule. So that's the biggest stuff we've got going on. And I was gonna open it up to comments there. And then following this, I guess we're gonna have a public hearing for the 6-year plan. I'm gonna see if you guys had any concerns you wanted to bring to me.
Just commenting for the efforts that we started on 604 mowing. That grass is out there.
Yeah,
Bloomfield, Abilene Road, County Line. It's growing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to the car,
right.
so. we
Yeah,
need
so
it.
like we covered with you last year, we got a mowing pattern, but the fact that we're gonna be doing that work on 604, we deviated from what we talked about when we showed you how we mowed last year. That's why 604 got done sooner than it normally would in its entirety. But thank you for the compliment.
Well, building up the shoulders on 612 and 636, really good.
Okay, thank you.
Because those roads have gotten where you really dropped off bad, and,
Yeah, that work was needed.
yep.
Thank you.
Any other comments to
So
Scott?
where's the mowing now? What direction are you?
I think they were mowed a portion of 628 today. I think we have 5 tractors going, so we're at 5 locations cutting that cut pattern. Typically, what we do is we work our way down and we take all right turns. We'll, like a dead end, we'll take a right onto it, come back out, take a right, go down to the next one, take a right, come back. That way, we're out of traffic as much as possible, and it's a way that we can keep that tractor moving and get the most production or efficiency that way. I don't know all the locations either, so I guess it's about as good as I can tell you.
Any other questions for Scott?
When you get caught up a little bit, your boom axe, the road going to Dalton Heights before you get to Moore Road, the trees have grown out quite much. And that same thing on Allen Farm Road on the, I call it the south or west end, need to be cut back a little bit.
Okay.
Another thing too, I've put out a work crew again to police the roads for litter. So if any of the supervisors, you got a road in your district that need policing, get it to Doug, and if he can shoot it, give it to me. And I'll see if we can get the inmates out there to pick that paper up, the trash up.
Yeah.
And then Doug will communicate with VDOT in making sure we retrieve it.
Yeah, let us know where the bags
Yeah.
are, and we're happy to get them. So thank you for that. Now, I'm glad you brought it up. We just got approval late last week to start working with our partners to have our inmate crews going up and going again.
Good.
So on the VDOT side, it's a green light. I need to make sure it's okay. I need to work with the DOCs to make sure it's okay for you guys to give us the inmates. I don't know what your current policies are on that.
I wouldn't know right now, but I'm pretty sure DOC ready to put them back to work as soon as you guys, because
Okay.
when I left Rustburg, VDOT was the kind of the challenge at that
Yeah,
point.
okay, well, good. Somebody from the Hampden, Sydney area headquarters, I guess our first approach is just gonna be to contact who we used to contact to get them and see if they'll turn some of them loose to us.
I was talking to Mr. Stanley Doug the other day about 15 south, from out of Farmville. That road hadn't been policed, and I know, and so, it needed bad.
Yes, sir.
And, I was talking, Doug and I was talking about,
I think just, I don't know what your timing is with your contractors, what y'all's plans are before we brought somebody in, but if you could just talk to staff and see where that is on your schedule anyway.
Yeah, so that contractor we're using to mow, we're gonna use that same contractor to pick up countywide before our second round of mowing. So that's when everything will start looking like it used to.
okay.
Pin Oak is one that needs it badly.
I know it needs it bad.
But anyway, just again, if anybody in your district, you need in the roads, police, just, again, communicate that to Mr. Stanley, and we'll take care of it.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, ma'am.
And Scott, I appreciate, volunteering, working on a couple of those roads I'd asked you about, just Chincopian, they've called and just asked if you would check that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what, that was just a message I was relayed to, so I don't know whether there's actually something needed or just maybe, I don't know exactly, so.
Okay,
Maybe
yeah.
Somebody just write out that word.
Gotcha, yeah, we'll give it a look. Thank you.
It was, I know after that last storm, it had washed pretty bad down that bottom, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Down the
yeah.
bridge.
That's one of those usual suspects after lots of rain, so we'll keep an eye on it. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, sir. Guess we have about a minute and a half, and then can we open the public participants early, or do you know?
No, we need
All right. In that case, we'll,
Scott, you can't talk about something else for 1 minute?
In a set of meeting minutes, a comfortable silence looks the same whether it's 10 seconds or
Actually,
60.
I know later, while we got you up there, I've got a request on there, talking about revenue sharing. And we talked about it as a board, the crazy thing, normally we apply this year for money that would become available July 1 of 2022, so next year. VDOT, because of the ongoing impact on their budget and fuel taxes and everything, has pushed that off till 2026. So it's a 4-year punt down the road. The other thing is that in the past, a lot of smaller counties, we were able to use revenue sharing money to go after these back roads, secondary roads, and try to kind of double what we're doing in our 6-year plan. They won't qualify under the new guidelines that VDOT has. The only thing that will qualify, Scott, is something that meets the V-Trans,
Statewide
Significance.
transportation initiative, it may be worded something like that.
So the only project that we looked at 3rd Street, interchange, and we looked at our secondary roads, but the only one that potentially may qualify is the need for turn lanes into the manor. If that property is ever going to develop, they didn't put turn lanes into that site. The CDA and or Hampden City and the other partners can ultimately come up with the match, and they won't have to come up with it until 2026 when the work gets constructed. But that's why we've got a $1.5 million request on there. But if we're ever gonna get our money back from the water and sewer investment y'all made in there, we've gotta be able to build houses, and to build houses, they're gonna have to make improvements and put in turn lanes in both directions.
And the board package said they were willing to pay a portion of it. Now, I know we did a project with Hampden City one time, and their portion was all of what.
I think now we've gotta figure that out. It's come up so fast, Mr. Joe, that we've cobbled this together. CDA haven't even met.
Right.
Although the last time we talked, but they were interested in the revenue sharing. I can guarantee you, if there's $1.5 million worth of turn lanes that need to go in out there, they'd much rather pay $750,000 than $1.5 million.
Right,
So-
cause I'm all for helping that thing grow. But then again, that money, if it's county money, is going totally for something that people have investment in, to develop
Yeah.
make money off of.
Well, I
I would think they ought
I
to,
think it's,
if we
And yeah.
offer, letting them have our portion of the matching fund, I
That's
think
right.
that's.
And the infrastructure that we've
enough
got there
for the
too.
county.
and I think it could be, because, the CDA owners together or
Right.
the partners individually. can
Yep,
come
however
up
they
with-
wanna come up with money,
That's right.
if they wanna put toll
And
booths
the
out
and the
there,
good
that's
news is,
fine.
they've got 5 years to come up with that match.
Yeah, okay, well, that's.
And at the end of the day, the good thing too, even if you're awarded the money, you can refuse to.
Right,
accept.
once the project, yeah, but, what was the road in Hampton City that they, redid?
Be a sacrifice.
Be a second.
There you go, yeah.
Hampden City provided all of the matching funds.
Right, and I'm perfect with that, because we had no place else to put the money. And if we can get it, let's use it, but not spend county money to match it.
All right, it's 7:30, we're gonna open the public hearing. I guess,
Okay.
go ahead, Scott. You
All
can
right.
lead us
Well,
off.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for the work we did in the work session a while back. I was ahead of schedule last month. I tried to get you guys to open this public hearing then, so it feels good to finally be doing it. So at this time, I'm going to read through the proposed 6-year plan, and it has the items that we covered in our work session added in FY '26. Or no, FY '27, excuse me. So, The list goes in order, so the first road I read, and then the roads following, we build them in the order I'm gonna read them. So this year, we're gonna be working on Miller's Lake Road. It's Route 613, goes from Route 612 to Route 611. It's 1.4 miles long. The estimated construction cost is $220,375. Following it is gonna be Hidden Lake Road. That's Route 751. It goes from 9/10 of a mile north of Route 657 to Route 685. It's 1.3 miles long. The estimated construction cost is $208,000. Next on the list, Copper Hill Road, Route 740, goes from Route 636 to its dead end. 7/10 of a mile long. The estimated cost is $112,000. Next on the list, Mill Creek Road, Route 628, goes from Route 724 to Route 732. It's 2.3 miles long, it's $368,000 estimated cost to construct it. Next on the list, Route 702, Bolden Flournoy Road. It goes from Red Shop Road to its dead end. It's 1.3 miles long, estimated cost of $208,000. Next on the list, Route 744, Whispering Woods Road, goes from Route 15 to its dead end. It's 1.6 miles long, estimated construction cost $256,000. Next on the list, Route 730, Schoolhouse Road, goes from Route 604 to its dead end. It's 4/10 of a mile long, estimated construction cost $68,000. Next on the list, Route 780, Old Oak Road, goes from Route 648 to its dead end. It's 6/10 of a mile long. Its estimated construction cost of $102,000. Next on the list is Route 632, Falkland Road. Goes from 2.55 miles east of Route 633 to Route 630, 1.3 miles long. Estimated construction cost $221,000. Then right here, our format changes a little bit. Starting FY '24, they have one UPC number for them. That's why it changed. And then that covers all the roads that we're gonna build with that funding. So you guys came up with a plan, starting in FY '24, to start attacking 4 different roads, dividing up that year's allocation to get some mileage on each of them. So the only thing the plan doesn't have is the actual common name of the road. But it's Route, got it written down right here. Route 625 is Feather Fin Road. And then it started at Holiday Lake Road, and it goes to 0.3 miles east of Holiday Lake Road. Next on the list is Rice Creek Road, Route 647, from 630, the Red Shop end of it, to 0.3 miles southeast of Red Shop Road. The next on the list is Route 611, Quail Crossing, from Route 613 to Miller's Lake Road. 0.3 miles east of, 0.3 miles east of Miller's Lake Road. Then next on the list is 668 Bell Road, from 0.3 miles east of Holiday Lake Road to, oh, sorry, I skipped down to Route 668 is Bell Road, from Route 664 to Morris Creek Road to 0.3 miles northeast of Morris Creek Road, 0.3 miles long. We put $50,000 to each of those roads for their construction in that fiscal year. And then there's a number 5 there, and it's 625 again, but it's just a funding thing that makes it do that, because some of the funds didn't balance out right into FY '25. But in the FY '25, we're going to do all those same roads, picking up where we left off, and we're going to move 0.86 miles let me make sure I'm saying this right, 0.86 miles. The following year, we're gonna add $105,000 to each of them again. And then in the final year, FY '27, it's all the same routes, picking up where we left off, except for on Route 647, we came up in the work session with doing the other end of it.
Absolutely.
So in that last year, it's 95,000. I'll just read through them. On 625, it's 106,000. On 647, that section that we're gonna do is 26,000. On Route 647, the 26,000 covers where we're gonna leave off down to that bridge. And then I got another line here for it with 0.65 miles on the other
Other
end,
end,
with
that's
the other money, 55,000. And then Route 611 Quail Crossing has 155,000, and 668 Bell Road, I believe the funding in this year finishes it out. $109,000 gets us to the end of it. So I think that worked out pretty well, and we'll have to have another work section next year to see what the funding will do to work towards finishing the rest of them, if that's what the board's pleasure is. But that's the plan as we covered in our work session. The last lines here are just cost centers that we have in every county. We have one for engineering, one for right-of-way, one for traffic services, and one for drainage. And they all have some funding in them. But that's the plan. I guess, I'm still feel new at the public hearing process, so I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys.
Is there anyone on, there's no one on that has, all right. Do we want to do the other one also, or do we need to close this one? And I guess we need to close this and let Scott. At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing on the 6-year plan. I guess we need a resolution. All right, you have a resolution on page 129 on your board pack that would be to, I guess, to approve the 6-year plan is what it would do.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the fiscal year 22 to 26 6-year plan and fiscal year 22 construction program, and authorize the chairman or the county administrator to sign the resolution.
All right, there's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
There, it's been properly made and seconded. You caught up, Doug? Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, I guess you and I need to sign those. Is that correct, Doug? Sometimes,
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Scott.
Don't forget 15.
All right, at this time, we're gonna open up the public hearing on the county's transient occupancy tax ordinance. That's on page 131, if you have a hard copy. Maybe the same in your,
Introduction.
yes, sir, go ahead, Doug.
So, at its meeting on May 11, 2021, the board authorized the advertisement of amendments to the county's transient occupancy tax ordinance. The ordinance was originally adopted, a transient occupancy ordinance in 2007 with a 5% rate, but it was never enacted. In essence, we were never directed the commissioner to start collecting. The attached draft was amended and approved by the county attorney based on the current Code of Virginia. The draft ordinance proposes a 7% charge for the occupancy room or space occupied for fewer than 30 days. That would include hotels, would include Airbnb and other short-term rental facilities. Revenues collected from the portion of the tax over 2% will be used exclusively for promoting tourism and travel or businesses that generate tourism or travel in Prince Edward County. Revenue generated from up to 2% will go to the county general fund. That's per the code. The tax will only apply to lodging outside the town of Farmville, as Farmville has its own occupancy tax. Back in December of 2020, Maggie Van Epps had shared some research she had done on the rental locations at Prince Edward, again, outside the town of Farmville, that are listed on Airbnb and VRBO, vacation rental by owner. Based on the number of rentals and the number of beds, she estimated they had 2 rental days per week each year, the county could generate approximately $50,000 per year of transient occupancy tax revenue. And I feel pretty strongly it's probably in the 50 to 100 range. The implementation of this will include both the Commissioner of Revenue and the Treasurer for the assessment collection of tax revenues. I will note that the county attorney sent me information this week that effective July 1, the state law changes and requires Airbnb and VRBO to actually collect a tax on their rent. That's been a big hang-up for commissioners because they would have to chase down these rentals. Now these platforms that are online have to collect that tax when you go and pay online. That will help the collection process. Cost, staff time, there will be some additional staff time in the Commissioner's office. I've talked to Reba about the impacts on staff. I think certainly when we get to consideration of the meals tax, that's the one that may push us to have a look at some additional staffing for the office down the road. So you've got a couple proposed motions there in the book. One would do the ordinance as proposed. We've also given you one that would provide for the ordinance changes but maintain the current 5% rate. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions Terry or I can answer for you.
All right,
When
board.
we first implemented this, it was in conjunction with the manor and their development here. And I think we put the 5%, but all 5% that we did ever enact it, of course, they'd have to build it first. But, and if we did enact it, they got the whole 5% to put towards construction, tangible construction, not for pay salaries or something like that. So that was one of the enticements we used to help them hope to locate here. Of course, it didn't come through. The one other option, if we could raise it to 7%, but still keep it inactive if we want to, right?
Absolutely could.
Yeah.
I know, again, I think, during the budget discussions, the board kind of leaned on staff to look at some other revenue alternatives, including the lodging tax and meals tax. Terry's working on that one now, and we'll hopefully be bringing that to you in the next 30 to 60 days for your consideration as well.
Okay. And we could, if we do as we will do with the manor too, put the whole pot of money towards,
You could do
help them.
incentive grants if you wanted to as well.
Of course, we'd be eating the cost of our staff. Because if we did take the 2%, that would be something to help us offset.
Well, one of the vendors out there in the county, and I talked to him, I said, when you look at the 7%, the county lets the 2% go to the general fund. The other 5% that we could look at taking a portion of that and using it for matching grants with the state. The state has an incentive grant program that you can use, the tourism dollars, that qualifies. We're not looking at this to truly go in there and offset the cost we're spending with the visitor center. It certainly could offset some of that, but hopefully we're gonna be able to do some new and exciting, different things.
Right.
Whether
Expand
it's
the budget, we got to work with that.
exactly, adding wayfinding signage around the county to get people to the different attractions and things that we have in the community. I know they work on that in town, but we'd like to be able to expand it out to the county, and that's gonna cost some money.
Yes.
This could be a way to pay for it without using general fund tax dollars to do it.
Any other questions or discussion?
Need to open the public hearing now. Is everybody on, Mr. Chairman?
Is there anyone on? Hearing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. I guess the may and shall. All right, it's up to the board as to how we want to go about this. I think you have 3 sample motions. Doug, any
So
Terry or Sarah, anyone?
Sarah helped pull some of this together. It's got 3 motions, but really, you got the first one is to establish the shall or may component.
Let's just gotta change the,
whether you wanna say you shall do it,
Right.
or they may do it.
Or they may do
Give
it.
us some discretion, it's just a matter of.
Well, the May is we put it off, but the shall, we're gonna do it now, right? Is that my?
Well,
I think it'd be clear to tell the commissioner,
They shall.
Shall.
It shall.
Shall.
Right.
So if we were to go with a sample motion in 3, we could also say that we move the board update and amend it to shall.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
yes, sir.
Sample motion 1 would just be to change that.
The sample motion is with the 7% though, right?
Yes, sir.
That's correct. The,
So
well,
it's
the
been-
sample
you've
motion, the third sample motion would.
Well, it's-
would
You've been
maintain
inactive for
5.
what, 13 years?
Right, well, it's been there, but not.
14? It's been there for what, 14 years?
A while.
So is
Yeah.
number 2 the best motion?
Number
Well, you
3.
want to do 1 and then either 2 or,
Alright,
If
2
we-
is for the 7%,
Yeah.
3 is for the 5.
Right.
But 3 includes updating it.
so you want to read the, number 1, you want to do that one.
Either one.
And then
Okay.
also move either 2 or 3.
Right.
Right.
Hey, let's do number 1 first.
All right, there's been a motion made to change the direction from a may to a shall.
I second
And
that.
that's been properly made and seconded, Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Yes for me, Ms. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, so that motion made and carried to change that to a shall instead of a may. And then it's up to the board as to whether they want to go with the 5% or 7, is that correct?
I've got one question. Doug,
Go
you
ahead.
said you had a conversation with one person, one entity to be affected by this. After discussing with them the fact that they could see a doubling of the grant money by participating, what were their feelings about?
I think they were interested, still concerned about the impact on their sales.
Right.
I think, I told them, I disagree in somewhat, if you're paying, my feeling is if you're paying $200-300 a night for a ring to cabin, then you're not, most of us don't look at the tax. If you go to Richmond or Virginia Beach, theirs is like 9 to 13%.
Yeah.
And they hit you, and you go because you're going. I certainly, and I think, again, the potential is through the state's program, like AFID, in that case, they've got a distillery they're looking at putting in there. We could apply for a grant and use these dollars as matching
Right.
to help them with that endeavor. So there's other ways. You can also help businesses with marketing. You can help them with facade grants and signage. Chelsea, there's a myriad of ways that we can assist, but we can leverage and use some of these dollars. Again, there has to be a local match to all these things. And usually it's dollar for dollar match. Well, this way we're not using general fund tax dollars to be able to fund that. We're using tourism dollars that are paid for by the people coming to this community.
Well, I remember when Bob Fowler was pushing for the Grand Falls, he felt like it was a very important piece to them be able to make that thing work.
And you could offer grants. I'll give you, for instance, you're already paying incentive grants for 4 hotels that are in the town of Farmville. If those were out in the county, you could be getting offsetting revenue to help pay those incentive grants. But we're paying the hotel Wino, the True, and also the Hampden and Holiday Inn out there. So we are, and again, because it benefits the entire county, even though they're located in town, we still get real estate,
Well, the tax,
personal property,
sales tax.
and sales tax.
So I will go with number 2.
Is that 5%?
Seven.
7.
I second.
There's been a motion made and properly seconded
I'll
to,
second.
okay, to approve the updated and amended transient to a 7%. Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Pride?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be beneficial or helpful if you put the 7% in the motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's in the resolution, I think, but the motion, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we will.
Yeah.
So let me just read the motion, then it would be, the motion would be to the board approve the updated and amended county transient occupancy tax ordinance as presented at a
Okay.
rate of 7% and establish an effective date of July 1, 2021 for implementation.
I think it clears it.
Yeah.
All right, that's the motion that has been made and seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Luke?
Yes.
All right, so moved. I guess we need a.
Give you
Yeah,
the
the
summary for the
public-
next one.
yes. Summary
The
for-
third public hearing is for the tax relief for the elderly and disabled. It's May 11, 2021 meeting. The board authorized the advertisement of amendments to the county's ordinance for tax relief for the elderly and disabled to increase the home plus 1 acre value from $100,000 to $120,000. Again, given that the average increase was about a little over 18%, this would cover a lot of the folks that were in that category. Currently, Section 70.203.4 of the county code provides a partial exemption from real property taxes for citizens aged 65 and older who are permanently and totally disabled who qualify for the exemption. The current ordinance exempts people whose gross combined income of $22,000 or under and the net combined financial worth does not exceed $100,000. With the increase in assessed values of the 18.27, the commissioners asked that we consider this increase. As the attached letter in the packet shows, for the year 2020, the county had 64 qualified applicants. After the reassessment, 22 of the 64 would be ineligible, as their dwelling in 1 acre would exceed 120,000. By increasing the limit to 120, it should be exceeds 100,000. By increasing the limit to 120, only 2 would be ineligible. The commissioners also provided a table comparing the limits of our surrounding counties. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, this time we're going to open up the public hearing. I don't think that there's anyone on, but if there is, you're more than welcome to speak. Seeing that there isn't any, I'm going to close it. All right, in that case, it's up to the board.
Not that it's a big issue, but do you kind of know what other surrounding counties?
We did, I apologize, we had last month, we had the table in the packet, and we didn't put it in there this time. We're right in the ballpark, right in the middle, I think, of everybody else.
I make a motion, we go ahead and approve this amendment to the specific section of the county code to increase the home acreage value from 100 to 120.
All right, motion-
Second.
120,000.
Motion been made and seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Luke?
Yes.
All right. I think you've already spoke to this, but go to the VDOT revenue sharing. Doug?
As I mentioned earlier, VDOT's currently advertising for submissions for the revenue sharing program. Program provides a dollar-for-dollar match up to $10 million for any locality for qualifying transportation projects. But they're funded on a 4-tier ranking system. Priority 1 is construction projects that have previously received revenue sharing funding, and we don't have any of those. Priority 2 is construction projects that meet a transportation need identified in the statewide transportation plan or projects that will be accelerated in a locality's capital plan. And we don't have a CIP yet, so we don't have one of those, and we don't have a project that would meet the statewide transportation plan. Priority 3 is projects that address deficient pavement resurfacing and bridge rehabilitation. Well, we really don't have any of those as well. Priority 4, all other eligible projects not meeting priority criteria. Now, I do think, and I think Scott and also Chris Winstead at Lynchburg feels that maybe the project out there at the Manor could be a priority 2, meeting needs in the statewide transportation plan, being 115. The Poplar Hill CDA has discussed the county apply for funding. They haven't made any official motion or anything. Again, because of the timing, I went ahead, we put it on the agenda. And we think whether it's a portion, as Supervisor Jones, we can make it clear. It's subject to somebody else coming up with the match, whether it's a developer, whether it's the CDA, the college. But I think they would still be happy paying half of the cost rather than the entire cost. The hard part for them is again, they don't have to wait for another 4 years before the funding becomes available, but that's on them. And again, we can decline it at the end of the day.
Lou?
Refresh my memory, one time several years ago, they actually surveyed about 4-lane.
What got killed? It
But-
went to the Lynchburg 29
That would have,
bypass.
Bypass.
He had funding, basically almost approved, really.
So, and there's a lot of history here well before me, and I'm learning pieces of it. Part of it was, I think they held off on the turn lanes because they realized, well, this is gonna be throwaway work when we come in and 4-lane everything.
that's what I was wondering if.
Yeah.
if
And
something
so
could
they
come
held
back
off
to
and didn't
play with
require
that.
it, and then didn't 4-lane it. So now it's dropped in everybody's lap. So if they come in and try to subdivide some of the property in there, they're gonna say, oh, now you need turn lanes to serve the subdivision.
My thoughts is, they're doing this work at Hampden, Sydney with the, whatever you call it.
Roundabout.
Roundabout. If they 4-laned it all the way out there while they were doing that, they could do the turn lanes all at once, and they'd get a lot of work done in a short distance that's really needed.
Well, it was proposed to be done, and like I said, almost money committed, and then
10
They took
years
the money.
ago, roughly, I guess it was.
Yeah.
12.
At least.
That's when VDOT started kind of scalping money from some budgets, projects, and putting them into the urban areas kind of ended up with all the,
it was doing some of the
Finance.
financial crunch too, that was why we lost it, but still, yeah, it was supposed to be done deal all the way out there, and they acquired a lot of property. Well, the house that they've offered us for the ambulance, they
That's
bought
how
the
they-
property and kind of silly, but anyhow. Well, I'd like to approve it in the manner that we say, if you want to say specifically just a manor, project, or we want to make it broad enough, say, I don't know if there are any other projects out there that,
we've got at this point, we've got to identify the project window starts in July. We really don't have anything else that we can make. And then we talked about Third Street, but again, Third Street, if it's $30 million, throwing $1 million on it's not going to help it score enough to get it over the hump.
be out of our league.
Yeah.
Well, do we go ahead and just identify the project at the manor and say,
I think if you adopt the resolution, which identifies the manor project,
right,
then at least, then we can say it's subject to, them providing the matching funding, that's fine.
right,
You making a motion, Bobby,
yes.
to adopt the resolution? Is there a second to that?
Second.
It has been made and seconded, Ms. Pride.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
So moved. All right, we're on to citizen volunteers and applications and appointments. I guess we can start with the Board of Appeals.
Mr. Chairman, I would call
Yes,
your
ma'am.
attention to page 235 in the table pack.
Yes, ma'am.
Updated the chart to reflect an application that was received yesterday, and then the request by Mrs. Page that her name be withdrawn from consideration.
Okay. All right.
So the Board of Appeals of Building Code is in fact a recommendation to the Circuit Court.
Since we have only one applicant, I guess I move that be the one we submit.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, in the Poplar Hill CDA, I guess we have two positions. We have three people who have applicants. Any discussion? Has to be some somewhere.
Well,
Gant and Yates, they
yeah,
reapplied, they currently own it,
right.
currently serving, so I move that, well, we gotta vote for each individual, don't we? Or can we just make a motion for Yates Gant and
We've
Yates.
handled this in different manners.
We've done it so many times. All right, there's a motion made for Gant and Yates.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it has been made and properly second. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, now the CDA, which there is two. There is a vacancy already, is that correct? Jim Tharp is on there.
Yeah.
You know the IDA or the?
Yes, I said that.
IDA.
I meant
Okay, yes, sir.
IDA. I was doing
Yes,
two,
sir.
I had two things in my head there.
We have Tim as incumbent, and then we have a vacancy.
All right, so it's up to the board as to,
I'd like to make a comment
Sure.
before we vote. Quincy Handy, he's from Lee District. If you reviewed his application, retired colonel out of the military. He has his PhD in business administration. Also, I think that haven't been to a meeting, but from what have gathered, the board, this guy's Afro-American. I think the IDA right now could use some diversity. We can maybe assist with some diversification with Mr. Handy. I think he's more than qualified to sit on that board.
so are you making a motion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Patty.
Oh, I was gonna say, I made the motion for Tim Tharp and Quincy Von Handy.
I second that.
All right, there has been a motion made and properly seconded for Quincy Von Handy and Tim Tharp to be appointed to the IDA. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, now we're the Social Services Board.
So, Mr. Chairman, I will point out to you that historically, the board has tried to distribute them, even while it is not written, it has been your practice to geographically distribute the membership of your DSS board geographically around the county. And two of these applicants are in fact in the Meharry Green Bay area. Two of them by their address would likely not be considered from the, Ms. Lee has a 3291 Abilene Road, and Ms. Walker has a Prospect address. So I'll just point that out to you, while there is no obligation for the board to vote geographically, that has been your historic
Say
practice.
historical practice.
Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to advocate for Ms. Troxler. Her application, she retired from the Department of Social Services of Piedmont, Nottaway County. Has a lot of experience, so I'll ask the board if I'll endorse Ms. Troxler. I'll make a motion that Ms. Troxler and,
Okay,
I'll second.
there has been a motion made and properly second for Ms. Gaynell Troxler to be appointed to the Social Services Board. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, and now we're to the Central Virginia Library, which we're gonna scratch Miss Page because she asked us to.
I'm making a motion for Shauna Hunter McKinney on the recommendation of Ms. Vicky Page, thinking that she would really be qualified.
I second that.
All right, well, it has been properly made and second for Shauna Hunter McKinney, beg your pardon, to be appointed to the Central Virginia Regional Library Board. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
And the Southside Community College Board. Lisa's time has run out, and I did get a letter this week that asked us to please get this done, so.
Make a motion to nominate Russell Dove. Prior
Second.
experience as chairman of the board, school board for several years, and think he'll do
I'll
a
second.
good job on that.
Motion been made and seconded for Russell Dove. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right.
I've never seen a list that had Walker on every one of them.
Her
application,
application,
she
her
checked
application
everybody.
came in and she requested it, so
What is,
she asked that she
Yeah.
be considered for all of the positions, so.
All right, let me get caught up, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Crossroads Community Board Resolution for a Forensic Audit. Doug, I'm gonna turn it over to you for just.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna call your attention back to page,
71.
Yes, 71. Yes, sir. You have two appointments for the Board of Supervisors to make to outside agencies. You will be appointing members of the Board of Supervisors, and your current office holders are shown in the chart and the term of office.
If both of them are able to serve again, I'd like to reappoint both of them.
Been a motion made, is there a second?
I'd like to do it
Second.
that way.
All right, that's been properly made and seconded for them to continue if they would serve. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, now we're turning over to you for a minute, Doug, for the Crossroads Community Board.
So the Crossroads Community Service Board is the primary provider of mental health, intellectual disability, substance abuse, and housing services to residents of Amelia, Buckingham, Charlotte, Cumberland, Lunenburg, Nottaway, and Prince Edward counties. There have been a number of concerns raised by Crossroads CSB board members, members of various boards of supervisors, current and former staff members of Crossroads, and members of the general public regarding operations at Crossroads. After discussion with some of the other county administrators in the region served by Crossroads, the recommendation is to request that the Crossroads Community Services Board conduct a thorough forensic audit of its records for budget years FY19, FY20, and FY21, which will just be ending up. we handed out on the dais tonight a revised, I apologize for getting it to you, but it's a revised, and I'll read it, a revised resolution. Behind it is a resolution from Cumberland. So we had put together a draft. I sent it over to Cumberland. I sent it out to all the surrounding counties. Cumberland is meeting tonight and should be voting on this, as well as hopefully this board. I believe Buckingham meets next week and we'll consider it. I talked to the county administrator in Nottaway. He's asked that I present, once the board has approved this, a signed copy to them for their consideration. I've talked to Charlotte as well. So we'll see. I haven't followed back up with Lunenburg or Amelia lately, but I think at least a majority of the localities served by Crossroads are feeling the same thing, that we need to, for a clean slate for the new director to come in. It'd be good to have these issues that have been raised, looked at by a professional who does this for a living, have Crossroads pay the cost of such services. At the end of the day, if they did even 2 years, maybe that's up to them, but I think at least everybody's requesting. And the reason the 3, because some of the allegations have covered the last 3 fiscal years. But let me read it. Again, whereas Crossroads Community Services Board, CSB, is the primary provider of mental health, intellectual disability, substance abuse, and housing services to residents of Amelia, Buckingham, Charlotte, Cumberland, Lunenburg, Nottaway, and Prince Edward. And whereas the Crossroads CSB has over 230 full-time and 50 part-time employees, 3,058 clients, and has an FY21 total budget of $15,486,594. And whereas there have been a number of concerns raised by Crossroads CSB board members, members of the various boards of supervisors, current and former staff members of Crossroads, members of the general public regarding the budgeting and allocation of public funds and other management issues. Whereas the Crossroads CSB Board of Directors at a special called meeting on May 5th, 2021, removed its director, Dr. Susan Baker, after 6 tumultuous years in the position. Whereas the Prince Edward County has been asked to commit $60,000 in the proposed FY21-22 budget as a local match to 90-10 funding from the Commonwealth of Virginia for the provision of services in Prince Edward County. Whereas Prince Edward County is greatly appreciative of these services provided by the Crossroads CSB and the support of its staff. And whereas the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors, as one of the 7 governing bodies described in Code Section 37.2-504 of the Code of Virginia, must ensure the fiscal accountability of public funds. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Supervisors of the County of Prince Edward does hereby request the Crossroads Community Service Board of Directors conduct a thorough, external, independent forensic audit of its records for budget years FY19, FY20, and FY21. And be it further resolved that the Board of Supervisors of Prince Edward, Virginia, does hereby state its intent to withhold funding from Crossroads Community Services Board until such forensic audit is authorized by the Crossroads Community Services Board of Directors. Notice we say authorized, not completed, because it may take a year or more to get it done. I think it's just acting in good faith. We don't want to hurt services to our citizens that receive them from Crossroads. Obviously, the board could remove that last paragraph if it's so desired, but I think it at least shows the weight and intent. I think if you get a majority of the counties that are served by Crossroads to all make that same statement, it carries a little bit more weight.
So moved.
Okay, I have a question again. So how was the 60,000 and the 37 for Cumberland determined?
Population.
Okay.
Yeah, under certain, yes, that's correct. You made a motion, I'm gonna second it. It's been made and seconded to accept this resolution. I think you have a copy of it also from Cumberland, which is pretty much verbatim. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
So moved. Split precinct waiver. Doug, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
You want to handle that one,
Go ahead.
Sarah?
Go ahead, Sarah.
Lynette, I'm going to say is probably still wrapping up the primary election today for Prince Edward County. She knew this was on the agenda, but doubted that she would be here in time. So she is requesting that the board, excuse me, approve the resolution authorizing the county's Director of Elections, General Registrar, request the waiver from the Department of Elections for the November 2021 elections in order to comply with the new election law regarding split precincts. And as you note in the resolution, there are 5 split precincts in Prince Edward County, and likely even with the redistricting will probably not be resolved. So this may be something that we're doing for many years to come. So I'm sure the board has had the opportunity to review all this. I don't know that Doug or I are the experts, but we would certainly be happy to try and answer any questions. The one anomaly is the Darlington Heights district, Mr. Gillum, because of the town boundary with the town of Pamplin. And all of the other split precincts are with the town of Farmville. So we're happy to answer any questions, or if we can't, see if we can get.
Are there any questions?
Like you said, this is something we have to deal with for.
Yeah. Now that the town elections have been moved to November, we probably next month, we're going to come to you all about starting the redistricting process. But I'm going to doubt that we will ever resolve the split precinct issues in Prince Edward County, so.
We know we gotta deal with it this year no matter what, so
That's right.
let's go ahead and approve this resolution that we, let the general register request that we can continue with the split precincts.
Been a motion made to do this. Is there a second? Jim has seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Yes. Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, GIS, are you up again, or?
Yes, sir. One of the items that I identified in my entry plan is to update and bring the county's GIS data up to date and online. The county a few years ago authorized Timmons to create this it's an online mapping system that allows you to compare different layers of data like zoning and population data, addressing, and we've been used it extensively over the last few months dealing with COVID-19. So again, we've been working on it since 2017. It is tied to the Bright system, the Commissioner of Revenue's office be able to tie your property information together. So if I click on Mr. Wilkes' parcel, it should bring me up the assessed value of the property and the basic information that's available in the real estate office. This is especially useful for attorneys, right, Terry? and real estate folks who are working on title work and things like that, that they can at least see who the adjacent properties are when they're looking at it. Unfortunately, the current data is not completely matching and returns upwards of 3,000 of the county's 14,000 parcels, about 20%, show owner information as unmatched or null, so there's no match to it. So it's not useful in those cases. For that reason, we've not made the site live and available to the general public, which we want to do. The problem can be corrected. Timmons' estimate is about $17,900. While the amount is within my authorization to approve, we don't have funding in the GIS line. We do have some ordinance codification money, and I request we'd move it from that line over to the GIS line. We've got that money again for ordinance codification available starting July 1, and some of that will be getting with Terry to go through some of the codes, but we just haven't had a chance to get there yet. But as proposed, the project would be completed in 2 months, so hopefully by the end of summer, we'd be able to put all this data online and make it available to the general public.
So moved.
Got a motion made. I'm going to second it. Ms. Pride?
I
Yes.
got one
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
Just, I guess it's related to this in a way, but still, remember the deal you were going through with
Oh,
the
yeah.
county boundaries?
PSAP boundaries.
Peace
So the
out.
PSAP boundaries are resolved. There are a couple of identifiable anomalies that were specifically left in place for public safety reasons. So for example, there is a house in Prince Edward County that it's down in Supervisor Townsend's district. You have to leave Prince Edward, enter Nottaway, turn right on another road, turn right on another road, and re-enter Prince Edward County. And there's no, Trey knows what house it is, I'm sure, because it's in his fire district. There is no good way for a Prince Edward County Fire Company to be the first due if there were a structure fire. So we left that house, even though it is identifiable as Prince Edward County, to have a first due response, fire, EMS, and law enforcement from Nottaway County. And so there was a house on the Charlotte County line that, quite honestly, we didn't know that, the way the property boundary came through. So, even though we know that part of the property is in Prince Edward, the house appears to be more in Charlotte County. So that house was transferred to Charlotte. There's one on the Prince Edward Appomattox County line, where it's in, we are first due. There's several in the Rice Fire District that are at a dead-end road that's well into Prince Edward, but the dead-end road curves into Nottaway. So those very identifiable, what I'm gonna call first response anomalies are that. They're identified, our 911 center, our sheriff's office knows the conditions and the specifics of those. Anything else that was clearly determined to be in Prince Edward County or not in Prince Edward County was corrected based on the geography of the county line.
How about the one where the Nottaway supervisor was
So
living in Prince
so
Edward?
there are roads where we have corrected, yes, sir. Now, there are still anomalies of taxation because the
Right, that's a
PSAP
different-
boundaries did not clear up the taxation issues. And so hopefully the project that, Mr. Stanley described, once we can identify who the property owners are, that's gonna put us one step closer to identifying whether or not they are in fact paying taxes in Prince Edward. And if not, then we will come back to the board and probably discuss with the board what the appropriate action is in terms of discussing those issues with our neighbors.
That's a little bit of a different issue, just, I didn't want us to spend money on the GIS and not have corrected these.
ASAP.
So
Yeah.
each
So they're right,
step
so.
gets us closer to being 100%. So the
Okay,
PSAP
that's
boundaries,
fine.
100% solve the public safety response, which
Right.
was the purpose of those. Now, we've got to resolve the data and the, making sure that we've got the correct property owners assigned to each
Right.
parcel. And then once we get that, then we can go back and track the ones that aren't paying taxes in Prince Edward. And then this fall, the whole voter registration, who's voting where, what the precincts, where the boundaries are. So each step is improving our data, but it's almost kind of an excruciating step-by-step process.
Well, as long as y'all got it straight, we're in line.
We're working on it.
Yes. Well, this is one of the necessary things to get done.
This will be a
Keep
big
going.
step
Right.
for
right.
identifying the property. Yes, sir.
Gotcha, yeah. I will say 501, I can't figure where part of it is over here on the other side.
Don't feel bad, because I thought it was mine all the time and it's yours.
Yeah,
I've been to those people and they can't sign anything, and it's
No.
like,
I don't know where it is.
I can show you part of it because it's strange the way it,
Yeah.
We should be able to do an in-house map. We can talk to Robbie. We should be
Yeah.
able to give you a better
Right.
delineation of the line. Yeah. Because we can put the aerial underneath of it rather than just drawing a box to a road, but at least it'll show you the house lines and stuff like that.
And we've got the actual written description of the election district boundaries.
Correct.
That says, you go down this road until you reach this, and then you turn right, and everything has to be a legally identifiable boundary. It can't be some,
but like Dry Bridge Road is a dead end, and Lou has 5 or 6 houses at the very end, and I have everything at the beginning.
It was a really weird district.
It's,
Hopefully, we can clean some of that up.
yeah, so that would be good things for when the redistricting
Right.
committee
Right.
to look at, to see if they can't be,
because I have it all except for like those
Rectify.
4 or 5 houses right past, and that's it.
it must have been a
First saw it,
creek
I
or
couldn't believe what I
something,
looked at.
because
Used to be the railroad. Railroad used to be.
That would have been a line you could have used. That's right.
yeah, because there's something in the law that says it has to
Dry
be
Bridge.
As a boundary.
a clearly
Right,
identifiable
and that's what it was,
boundary
when the railroad was there, when you crossed Dry Bridge, which is how it got its name,
Okay.
when you crossed the Dry Bridge because it was over the railroad, not water, then it became your district at this point instead of mine.
Dave's Pontiac's in the town of Farmville, and the backside of the co-op is back in my district again.
That's correct.
So where does the line come across, is what I like to know. Is it the old railroad?
The old
trestle?
railroad trestle comes right behind it, sure does,
All right.
and that
Yeah,
comes
because
around,
you have the jail and everything out,
Yeah.
comes around behind where Mac Bailey bought that piece of property, and comes right behind it and hooks back in. Right beside,
Watts, pieces of land.
it used to be Watts, used to be. Mac owns it now, or
Is
did.
15 a boundary?
No,
No.
no. Yes, yes, it is for about quarter of a mile. 15 north to the west is my district, to the east is yours. No, it's Jim's.
Tom's.
Yeah, Tom's Gun
Stores
Store.
in mine.
Right, right.
But
So
if
yes,
you want
it's.
to trade off, he'll give you the avenue property.
That's, yeah, I see where you're going with this. I see where you're going here, Luke. No, to the right, yes, to the east would be, that's the only place that 15 is, but 15 comes in from Dowdy's Corner to the river. That'd be the delineation right there. So everything to the right, which would be the bolts and all of
the way
that,
down.
right, all the way to the river. It's like I say, it's strange the way it is, but it's a.
The railroad trestle comes in behind the fire department. How far down there does it go? Right?
yes, sir.
That's the end I can't figure out. I don't think it's much in there.
Goes all the way to, it would all the way to Cumberland County, but there's nothing in there.
Yeah.
the district would go that far, but there are no houses in there. All right, Bobby, did you get your question answered?
Yes.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second.
Yes, I was gonna say, there's been a motion and a second to approve this and to change it to that line item, is that correct? All right, Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby? Jerry?
Yes.
And Luke?
Yes.
All right. And that'll get us closer to solving some of those issues. But yes, I agree with you, Lou, that's a strange way that works. COVID ordinance, Doug, I'm gonna turn it over to you or to
Sarah.
to Sarah? Sarah?
Let's see, yes, sir, back in late summer, the board adopted as an emergency ordinance the ordinance instituting temporary measures for certain gatherings to prevent the spread of COVID. The board readopted this ordinance at its October meeting through the conventional process, following a public hearing at its September meeting. Now, with the cessation of the COVID mitigation measures by the Commonwealth and the recommendations of the CDC, staff is recommending that the board consider repealing the county's ordinance instituting temporary measures for certain gatherings to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And that ordinance is attached.
Chairman had asked me, Sarah, and I don't know if it's specifically covered in here, but obviously one of the things is to allow for the public to come back.
This is just event-based. This is not the ordinance related
Okay.
to our declaration of emergency and our county operations.
This is just the public event section.
This is just basically the event one that you did later. I think we've got it on the calendar to bring that to y'all for consideration, reopening at the July meeting.
There's a lot of chatter on the LGA now about when people are deciding when to do it.
Right.
I think,
Yeah, it's a lot of it's happening tonight. There are several counties,
Yeah,
it
there's a
was,
lot of chatter about it.
yeah, there's, I know,
They're not doing it till August. I'm doing that.
well, it actually ends June 30th according to the governor, correct?
Yes.
So that would,
Some of them are waiting 60 days past that.
Do the code allow that?
I don't know.
I think
Well,
it-
and so there may be some concern about, so with your declaration of emergency, which is probably tied up with some of that, I would think, discussion, and the eligibility of expenses related to FEMA public assistance, and so it's kind of a multitude of issues.
you
that-
you end your ability to
Well,
go back.
and the question would be is if the federal declaration would allow you to roll back your local declaration, but still the expenses that are related to the COVID vaccination process, would they still be eligible? And I think those are good questions that we want to make sure we've got a solid answer to before we make a recommendation to the board. But this one will not impact FEMA public assistance or anything related to the declaration of emergency.
So I'll move that the Board of Supervisors repeal the county's ordinance instituting temporary measures for the certain gatherings to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Second.
it has been made and properly seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
So moved.
Chairman, the next item is regards to courthouse lawn renovation. Prince Edward County Courthouse and its front lawn represent the most prominent public space on Main Street. I'd say to date, we've not done a great job of developing and maintaining this space, although I will give Randy Cook and his staff credit. We put a lot of effort into it this spring, and if you notice, there are no weeds on the front lawn. It's grass starting to thicken up, look a little bit better. But the space has the potential to be a public gathering spot, a place for people to come together and celebrate, to remember the past and practice their rights to assemble. The project would renovate the existing courthouse lawn, including reconstruction of the plaza, removal of the shrub hedge and brick columns across the front, installation of a new plaza and walkways, power washing of the courthouse, of the existing concrete, installation of some new landscaping, signage, lighting, flag poles, and site furniture to include some benches. We've got a preliminary concept plan that's been done by Land Planning and Design. They're an architectural firm out of Charlottesville. They do a lot of work with the town of Farmville. I've worked with them in the past. They've donated all the work so far to get us here. Again, the lawn and plaza are worn and need a repair. The bricks in the plaza are uneven and present a tripping hazard. The gravel pathways are a maintenance problem, and about every time you get a good rain, the gravel washes out into the town sidewalk. The columns are crumbling apart in places, and it's you're either gonna go repoint them, or you're gonna remove them. The shrubs are overgrown. The lawn needs to be replanted. Additional site lighting and benches need to be added to improve the visitor experience. I think too, the chain link of the columns kind of tells the public to stay off the courthouse lawn. I think that here we have the ability to invite them in and bring them onto the lawn. This project will actually go through the capital improvement plan with everything else. Right now, I'm just asking for us to be able to do the design and the bid docs, because that'll take a little bit of time. I'd love to be able, if we end up doing it, to do it, this fall, this winter, and so next spring we're ready to go. But if we can at least get the planning out of the way. The Properties Committee, we did discuss it and have sent that on to the full board for consideration.
Doug, if you're gonna do this planning, I'd like to see 2 nice flag poles. Those things we got, just wobbling in the holes and they lean.
And we've talked about that too. They're a little undersized for the courthouse, and I think you need something more substantive and like the ones in front of Town Hall or meet that fit the bill. But I agree with you 100%.
If you're gonna get grass to grow out there, aren't you gonna have to irrigate it?
There's actually an irrigation system right now underneath of it, which we don't use. I'm trying to think. Hunter Watson called me and told me, because he saw an article where we were talking about it, and he reminded me there is an irrigation system underneath of it that we could hopefully still be able to utilize some of it.
I know somebody put one in for us if we need it.
Agricultural only.
Grass growing is ag, isn't it?
I don't know.
I can't tell.
I can tell you.
You
if
can
we're
contact him, can't you, Bobby?
Redo that thing, we're gonna redo the irrigation system too, because it's gonna come all to pieces.
By the time you dig up the
It's
plaza, I'm
not-
sure.
Ain't no saving it, I can tell you.
Yeah, we've been long.
Spend more money trying to save it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can move that the Board of Supervisors approve the request to authorize the county administrator to sign a contract with Land Planning and Design Associates for the development of a final design and bid documents for the courthouse lawn restoration project.
There's been a motion.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right.
Thank-
Roof replacement in the Attack, go ahead.
So the shredded roof is located on the backside of the Yakutak building, is leaking in need of replacement. We received correspondence about the impact on their operations, and a total of 6 quotes were obtained to repair or replace the roof by Building and Grounds Supervisor Randy Cook. The Properties Committee reviewed the request at its meeting on May 11 and recommended that the new metal roofing option for Willis Mountain Sales LLC at $36,300 is the most cost-effective and offers a 30-year warranty, particularly when, some of the other ones are where you spray that coating onto it, but you only get, anywhere from a 3 to 10 or 2 to 20-year warranty with it. So the 36.3 gets you a new roofing system and a 30-year warranty on it, and appears to be the best option. I appreciate Randy going out and spend the time to get the different quotes for it.
That's Leon Map, right?
It is. It is.
Willis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I make a motion, we will go with the property's suggestion, because he's done work for me, it's real good.
There's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Jim seconded it. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yep.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right, tobacco commission.
I'll handle this one as well. So the IDA is being asked to authorize the submission of an application to the Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission's Community and Business Lending Program for a $1 to $4 million loan to finance a broadband expansion project on behalf of Mr. Jim Garrett of Connex Telecom. The FCC is requiring the loan be secured by a $1 million deposit, which Mr. Garrett will need to acquire through applying to the CBL program. The application needs to be authorized by the IDA and a resolution required to be adopted. At their May 28th meeting, the IDA adopted a resolution to authorize an application, and they request that the board also shows support of the project in the form of adopting the enclosed resolution. I would note, too, that I think when the American Rescue Plan, we start talking about those dollars, I'd like to see us put some of the $4.4 million towards this project. But I think we'd make that subject to Cumberland, which has some of the coverage area in southern Cumberland, and also Lunenburg, western Lunenburg. Part of that area will be covered by Jim's project. So good news is there's a significant portion of Prince Edward County that would get fiber run in front of their house in the next 6 years. And really, he's got 4 primarily to do it. So he's got to get ramped up and going. But he received that $10 million federal grant, and that's financing a bulk of it. And then he's using basically the income off, sales to help pay back the loans and stuff that he's tied up with it. But this is I think the best option that our community has seen for getting broadband extended across the county. And Chelsea will be on the call. Is it tomorrow, Chelsea, with the state? We're looking at some state options as well. So at the end of the day, he may not need this loan if he gets state grants or if the counties put up some of their rescue plan money. But I think the good news is we at least got to get this in place for him to be able to move forward with the FCC grant and the SBA grant. Yes, Lou?
You see this orange and white poly being buried everywhere. Is that part of?
That's some of his. He's out there. They're doing some buried. They're putting some on poles from Southside Electric, but most of what he's putting in is buried. You see his Connex trucks running around the county.
This is coming from Lynchburg down 460.
That's a different project. That's different. And it goes all the way to Lynch. You're right, 460, running all the way. It also runs down to the lake south of Bedford, I think. I've seen some of that
They
section.
came by my office the other day on down into Fall. And you see it in all of the counties around. So I didn't know whether this thing.
I think that's part of the, I don't know if that's part of, the larger cable, fiber connecting all the state of Virginia, part of the, what's the outfit that's working, we're working with our data center site?
I was down near Dundas last weekend and they're already out in the rural areas burying this stuff now.
Yeah.
So they're moving fast.
What?
I am too. I think it's like MCCI, but yeah.
We need a
Chelsea, did I
motion.
miss anything? NBC. Yep.
Yes, ma'am. We're entertaining a
I'll make
motion.
that motion.
There has been a motion made. Second. And properly seconded. I guess this is for the authority, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby? Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
All right. Ms. White? Economic Development.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
On pages 207 and 230 of your package, you'll find my report, and I'll provide a few highlights. So firstly, Prince Edward County will be featured in Business View Magazine's July edition, and this article will highlight the county's assets and current development projects. It will tell the story of why Prince Edward County is a unique destination and a great place to grow, start, or relocate a business. Also, we have completed work with the Timmons Group on integrating our enterprise zone into the county's GIS website, which will allow us to better market these properties for development. We're continuing our work with the Timmons Group on data center marketing and the next steps to take the Heartland Innovative Technology Park to Tier 3 certification. And we've also continued site visits with commercial developers and correspondence with our regional and state economic development partners regarding leads. And more recent news, this past Friday, Pear Ceramics was approved to receive a loan from the IDA that will allow the company to expand their Farmville operation located in our business park. And the additional equipment purchase will allow Pear Ceramics to hire 5 additional full-time highly skilled employees to join their existing 25-person team. And so we're excited about this investment and the resulting economic growth that will be contributed. I also want to take the time to say thank you for providing support on the Connects Telecom broadband project. As far as the visitor center is concerned, we've been open full-time for about a month now, and visitation has greatly improved with many out-of-state visitors from as far as Hawaii, actually. And we've seen a total of 257 visitors this past month, which is in line with pre-COVID numbers. Also, the visitor center is now open Monday through Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Sunday from 12:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. We've also welcomed a new part-time staff member and a new volunteer as well. And I will try to answer any questions if you have any.
I've got one. We were talking about Yak earlier, and I was just wondering, how are they getting along with their expansion and more employment?
Right. So I am hoping to have a meeting pretty soon to delve into that. I actually have only met Luther over the phone so far, so that's on my list to get on that.
Yeah, I just like it up because,
Sure.
hopefully it will be a big growing thing.
Yes.
If I can add, Mr. Chairman, Bobby, I think, I heard Luther speak a couple weeks ago, and it has grown exponentially since COVID hit.
I know he's been
Right.
doing what, yeah.
And I talked to a couple people, I think Cannon was one of them, that their kids have gotten jobs. Some of the kids that recently graduated have gone over and gotten jobs over there. So they're hiring, like everybody else, struggling to find employees, but they've hired a number of kids that are just recently graduated. So they're going great guns.
Yeah, they just hired a neighbor of mine for, I guess you might, let's say, public relations, in charge of that, so.
Well, I'm gonna say this, Luther is the best advocate of Prince Edward that I have met so far. He really loves this community and he talks about the work ethic of the people here. And he said the kids, he said the kids that grow up on the farm know how to do stuff and use their hands and have common sense. And so he's happy to be here, happy to move the business here. And, we certainly want to do everything we can to support them as they continue to grow and expand the inventory of things they market from the facility.
I
So
can blame him for taking all his high school kids away from me.
that's right.
I was wondering where they went to.
Wonder where the hell Yak at?
I can't find nobody either.
That's right.
Right above
No, that's
it.
great, because I heard through this young man that took that position, and things were really doing good out there, so hope you get a good report from him.
Yes, yes. And we've talked about just general things as it relates to just employment and how just, generally how business has been going and things like that. But specifically as it relates to, when are you going to, I don't have that just yet. But
Right.
yeah, I'll be glad to
Well, he'll have
report
to
that.
fill all that out, meet his obligations, I'm sure. So,
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Chelsea or Doug, either one, have we heard any more about any potential at the Lowe's site?
We actually, I had an email back yesterday, I think, that we've got agreement on trying to settle the issue of access. It's going to require us, I think it's about $17,500 in repair work, $1,000 a year moving forward. That would increase by 10% every 5 years, but that's pretty small. And that would be assumed by whoever buys the property. So we think we've got it resolved, but we're trying to navigate their legal department to get it put into proper form so we can get it to Terry to review. But we basically, for the last 30 days, been in agreement in principle with what they've offered and what we countered back to them with. So hopefully we'll be able to get it done this summer, I'm hoping.
Doug, while Chelsea's here, don't forget Dickie and Dan Crawley would like to see the two of y'all and walk around on the Riverwalk deal.
We can
That'd be
hopefully
great.
find a cooler day, we make that happen.
Yeah,
Chelsea.
so
You
I
set it up,
actually,
Chelsea.
yeah, I've seen Den, I ran into him and we had a good talk. Dickie, I have made contact with him. He's been having a great year at Greenfront, so he's been pretty busy. So he told me he'll call me when he has time.
Dickie told me he did $400,000 about 3 Saturdays ago.
Yep. So I'm waiting for him to
And,
call me.
With lots of money coming in, and that's a dream of his, might be a great time to do it. But anyway, he and Dan did want to show y'all around.
Great.
Anything else for Chelsea? If not, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Yeah, hang on a minute, Terry. Come on, Trey. I got you, Trey.
I'll make it quick, all right? But, good evening, board. I passed out before the meeting, y'all's update for COVID-19 briefing 22, the numbers from previous month to this month. Proud to say that our numbers are leveling out. There's very small increases in our county along with counties surrounding us, so that's a positive outlook on this pandemic. The shots are at the bottom, and as Jerry had alluded to earlier, you know, we're still a little low on the numbers. We think we've got some reporting issues as far as where some of our numbers have gone to, but we're still making positive headway. We have 3 additional mobile clinics. The last ones that were scheduled through the weekends at different sites in the rural parts of Prince Edward County were very successful. Sarah's reached out to VDM, and we've gotten 3 additional ones scheduled. Those are the J&J shots. 2 of them will meet the Farmville kiosk, the old Ruby Tuesdays parking lot, and then 1 will be back at the Ag building. I think the Ag building beat my site in Maharon by 2 people or 3 people. They actually had 25. Still encouraging people to use vaccinefinder.org to find a pharmacy or a doctor's office or something that may be available to get you the shot. Health Department still continues to administer weekly vaccinations through clinics in the health district. PEFIA is still the primary point that they've been using weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. In July, they're planning to move to 1 day a week, every Wednesday throughout the month of July. The school clinic was successful. 52 shots were administered, primarily to students. There were a couple adults that's all come through and get theirs with their child. So that was a good success. That was the first one done in a school system in the Piedmont Health District, so that was good. The biggest change has been the governor's new Executive Order 79, ending common sense public health restrictions. Y'all have seen the masks. He's following CDC guidelines. We have no social distancing now. That was pretty taken back by a lot of stuff he had put in there, so it's very redacted. New variants, there's still some variances floating around. The courthouse is now operating on new CDC guidance. Masks are not required if you're fully vaccinated, and social distance is still required. The judge wanted that still put in place to ensure people that were or were not were still safe. Your EMS call numbers are on your next page. They have slightly ticked up, I will tell you, the past week or two. It's been pretty busy around the county. It's been pretty steady for everybody. The Recovery Vaccinate Prince Edward Scholarship Initiative, all y'all are aware of that joint meeting between the county and the board, have taken action. It's still forthcoming and still information gathering, but it has been started. We have a total of 9, I believe, applications right now, from the first day on the Pfizer right after y'all did, the day y'all did the initiative. The county still continues to work with letterpress to help push out public information on COVID. The second round of health equity bags has been started, where a little over 1,000 bags has been issued out into the county to citizens. And then 2 notes on non-COVID updates. Emergency management staff this past weekend and then 2 weeks ago supported Prince Edward County with a search and rescue operation. And then the county supported the town of Farmville with their water distribution operation from their water main break. So, any questions? All right, thank y'all.
Thank you. All right. You, Ms. Terry.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As far as I know, we have no lawsuits pending. I've been working with working with Doug and Sarah on various ordinances and working on various things for the IDA. But anyway, I don't have any specific report for you, but if you have any questions, concerns, I'll be glad to address them or hear them.
Terry, just a quick question, because I got a letter in the mail the other day from a gentleman talking about one of the ordinances we have. Bobby probably can speak to this better than I can, because if I'm not mistaken, at one time, if you had animals running at large, the offended party had to contact the person who they thought owned whatever animal it was before they called anyone else. Do you know if that's still?
I don't think that's part of it, but I don't have it in front of me to see. I don't think that it's in
Was
there.
that part of it at one time, Bobby, do you know?
I don't remember that being part of it, but I'm almost positive it's not in our.
Okay, no, it's not, it's not in the new, I
Yeah.
didn't know if it was.
I don't.
I don't believe it's in there.
Something that we need to possibly look at, because I know of a couple instances where the person who was quote unquote offended contacted either the sheriff department or something else, and never even contacted the person who owned the horses or cattle or dogs or whatever else, and it makes it tough for anyone that has a dog that gets loose or something else, and they just call the dog warden immediately rather than calling and saying, Terry, I called
Right.
your dog, would you please come get it, or whatever else.
Right.
It's something we need to look at, where they'd be required to at least call the owner first, or who they think's the owner, and say, could you retrieve, or whatever else, before they call the dog warden or animal control officer, I guess what they call them now, dog warden in my day. But, something just to look at on that, because I know one person had a dog picked up, you know, so it's not a,
Right.
it's an issue, because they said if I had known where the dog was or whatever else, I could have gone and got it rather than something else, so just something we need to look at in our ordinance and see how it reads or whatever else. It should be that they should at least make an effort to contact the person before they just call
Right,
911 or the sheriff's office or whatever else, saying I have a problem.
right, okay.
Yeah, I
Did-
think that's wise. Someone in Hampden, when the storm came, he has the invisible fence, but when all the power was out for days, and his neighbors kept calling the animal control saying, this dog is in my yard, but when they showed up, the dog was friendly. It wasn't even doing anything, and the fact that they had no electricity, they had no way of controlling it. And so when the animal control officer went the second time, they said, you don't have a legitimate complaint, because there is, you know, there's definitely invisible fence, but it's not working because there hasn't been any electricity here when Southside Electric was out for all those days.
Right.
So the animal control officer was really nice in trying to help the neighbor who was complaining, and he asked, has the dog ever been aggressive? They said no. He said, you know, it's an animal, you know, so.
It puts the law enforcement at a disadvantage if someone
If
just
they
calls,
show up.
if they show up and say, did you contact or whatever else. So that's something I think we need, I know, I read some of the other counties where they had that, where it was, they had to try to contact whoever they thought that the dog or horse or cow or whatever
That's
was
all
on.
it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, courtesy call, rather than just immediately calling, you know, the county and saying, hey, we've got a problem here.
Yeah.
Something to.
I did, Doug, I do want to thank you for actually bringing me a paper copy of the code. It's very good when, you know, people have asked me in the past, and I had asked for a copy of that and had not received it. So I haven't sat through and read it yet, but anyway, I do appreciate your efforts in getting that to me. Anyway, thank y'all.
Any other questions for Terry? All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, Doug.
Just a few things I want to hit on. One, I want to thank Piedmont Regional Jail. They picked up about 70 bags of trash on New Bethel, Verso, Mount Pleasant, Red Shop Roads. And again, if you've got some locations, let me know and I'll forward them on to the superintendent. Couple other items, we've got 2 table pack items that I need action on from the board. The first is the audit contract with Robinson, Farmer, and Cox regarding the new audit standards that will apply to our upcoming 21 audit. They provided an estimate for the audit is $43,000. We've got more than enough funding in our budget line to cover that. We're still not sure if we're going to be able to get some outside accounting. Sarah's been trying to reach out, and whether Mary's folks can help us this year, or we got to look for somebody else. But, I think probably next year we'll have to put out the audit RFP for auditing services that haven't been done in a while. But field work has actually got to start next week, believe it or not, for the next audit round. So if we stay on cycle, hopefully the board can approve this and we'll keep on trucking.
Jerry, we're gonna ask them to do it for 40?
Yeah.
I knew I'd get your attention on that. Y'all have to understand, that's kind of an inside joke from the audit committee. We've been arguing with them about some other things, just kind of as a joke, so. That's right. Well, I guess you need we didn't get anywhere yet, Lou. Guess you need a motion to
approve the
the-
21 audit contract with Robinson Farmer Cox CPA firm to conduct the 21 annual audit for Prince Edward County.
So moved.
Second. Been a motion made and seconded, Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
The second item is, it's a resolution regarding collective bargaining. So as of May 1st of 2021, Virginia localities may pass an ordinance or resolution which allows for the recognition of unions or employee associations as exclusive bargaining representatives for certain segments of the workforce and collective bargaining with such exclusive representatives. Localities may also choose to pass an ordinance or resolution which makes clear they will not authorize exclusive bargaining agents or collective bargaining. If a locality does not pass a resolution or ordinance regarding collective bargaining, the majority of each locality's employees in a unit considered by such employees to be appropriate for the purpose of collective bargaining may certify to the locality their intention to be represented by an exclusive bargaining agent. The bottom line is, I really don't think it's fair to negotiate with one office and one group of employees and leave everybody else out in the cold. I think we've tried to deal with our employees as a whole. And, I can see some of the more urban localities that are encouraging this, like Alexandria, where, you're going to have law enforcement on one side and fire and rescue, and then you're going to have, the solid waste guys in a union. And you're going to end up with different benefits packages for everybody, or different salary increases for each group based on their negotiating. It's going to be potentially a mess. Especially for rural localities, I think the way we do it, where, we have conversations with our employees and do the best we can for them, and because they're a part of the community, makes the most sense. So Terry and I have both been kind of scouring around looking for localities. Clark County, Virginia had passed one, and we modeled our resolution that's in the pack after Clark County's resolution. And Sands Anderson in the packet there, Sands Anderson has been providing information to local government attorneys across the state, but this one seems to make the most sense.
Are there any questions about it or anything to make?
I'd like to make a motion that we move to adopt the attached resolutions to prohibit county employees from engaging in collective bargaining or recognizing an individual employee organization, labor organization, association, or other entity as exclusive employee representatives or bargaining agents of the county employees with respect to any matters to employment or service with the county as outlined.
I'll second that. Has been properly made and seconded, Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry? And Lou?
Yes.
A couple other things just to report on to finish up. The Business Park Access Road Chelsea and I had met with the chairman, and we also met with the chairman of the IDA. We're looking at shifting the road a little bit to the east. We've still got to have a sit-down with Mr. Myers from Triborough. We're trying to make that happen this week or next week. Solid waste convenience sites, county staff have ordered the attendant shelters for Verso, Green Bay, and Tuggle. We paid the deposits. It should be installed hopefully within the next 30, 45 days. The board had authorized their purchase back in October of last year, and we just dropped the ball and hadn't gotten that ordered, so we got that taken care of. If you get a chance when you leave, go look across the hall. We've got the carpet replaced in almost all the offices, and it looks a whole lot better over there. That's one of the last items we've got to finish and complete here with our renovation of the courthouse, and I appreciate Randy working to get that done. I think that's about it. Happy to answer any questions.
Oh, I got one thing for you, Doug, it's totally different, but Sarah gave me a call Saturday night, and I had noticed myself there was a lot of police activity in my area.
Helicopters?
Yeah. I thought they were looking for me at first, but then I drove by and they didn't stop me, so. But, no, all joking aside, apparently, I'm not gonna mention names of this company, but I guess you probably know, but apparently this person has gotten away from this facility numerous times. And, I guess it's kind of like, if my car's got numerous times, somebody finally get tired of it, and, the expense too, good gosh, it's no telling what between the county and the state agencies spent. I don't know how to approach it, but I was wondering if you knew of some manner and put it on the agenda to see if there's, you know, it's a great organization in our county, but still, somewhere somebody's
Somebody has to have-
making a mistake.
Right. Has to be some responsibility
Made over and over again, and needs to be made responsible.
And Sarah mentioned that to me. We can look into it. And I've got, you know, some of the facilities are allowed as a matter of right in the state under zoning laws, and some have local conditional, special use permits and stuff to operate. But I don't know, if there's a way to recoup some of those costs, particularly, you know, when it's the fifth time it's happened.
Yeah, I understand once,
But you know, when you're calling in the SARS team, you think the state of Virginia would really want to
right.
be interested in that as well, because it's a huge expense when you're talking about flying. If you ever had anybody take a mid-flight helicopter ride,
Jim.
look, that, I bet the bill was at least 5 figures, wasn't it, Jim?
For what, the helicopter flight? Yeah, it was interesting. It was a bill of $21,000. And
They hit you.
we had recently checked up, my sister-in-law was up here and she had an accident. We were gonna fly her back to Dallas. And it was interesting because it was a Learjet back to Dallas that would take her, a couple nurses, and 2 people from the family. That was $17,000. It was
That was a lot better deal.
$21,000 to Lynchburg.
So yeah, you put up the state police helicopter for 6 hours or 8 hours, and you know you're going to rack up a pretty good sizable bill. So we'll look into it and see.
Well, one other thing I was wondering about, I know when they have purchased other homes and, they had to get a special use permit to be able to use those homes for that type of, operation. But maybe it'd be something, could we do this, put a stipulation in it if there is repeated, how would you put violation?
If it's under a special use permit and it's a reasonable condition, we could place it on there. The law has changed, and Terry and I can look into it, but I know if it's like a group home of less than 8, it's
Yep.
allowed in
Right.
any district anywhere, and you're
Yep.
pretty much hands off.
I
But
think it's already like that. I
Yeah.
think we've had situations where we couldn't, they didn't have to get special.
That's right.
Right.
So it's
But I know some of them they did, and
Because they were larger than.
we need we.
Robbie looked up the zoning for me this morning, I asked.
What do you say as far as the?
If it's, I think it's less than 8.
Yep.
Residents, it's by right, it's a single-family residential.
right, yeah.
Bobby, on this guy that walked away up there, they said in the paper you found about a Lynchburg policeman. Were Lynchburg sending volunteers down here?
No, he found his way to Lynchburg and on the street, and they found him in Lynchburg.
How the heck did he get there?
My guess is.
Yeah, he hitchhiked.
No,
Yeah, it's,
Man.
it was, what's it from?
Yeah, like I said,
We'll look into it.
At 2 a.m.
There may not be a whole lot, but, we can talk to Delegate Edmonds about, there ought to be, if the General Assembly is going to force us to allow these facilities without any other regulations, they at least ought to be able to help out localities when there's lack of supervision.
Right, yeah.
We'll look into it.
All right, anything else for Doug or any questions? I guess we're on to salary.
Next item, and I apologize, Mr. Chairman, this is something we talked about during the budget. All county employees, we have given a 5% increase to, and we include board members in our salary increases. Under the code, in order to approve a salary increase for the Board of Supervisors, we have to, in a election year where at least 40% of you are up for election, in this case it's 50%, prior to July 1 of that year, the supervisors are to be elected, or if the board's elected for staggered terms, any year where at least the 40%. A recorded vote by a majority present shall set a maximum annual compensation which shall be effective January 1 of the next year. So we've got the election coming up in November. So if by voting today on setting the salary, that 5% salary increase would be effective January 1 of 2022. So the salary for the chairman would go from 11,820 to 5% increase would be 12,411. For the rest of the board members would go from 10,431 to 10,953. Total cost, which is already included in the adopted budget, is $4,245.
Can I make a motion to that effect that we do that, or?
Yes, sir. So the motion would be to set the salary of the board at $12,411 for the chairman or chair and $10,953 for the other members of the board, effective January 1, 2022.
So moved.
Been a motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Been properly made and second. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Lou?
I'm gonna abstain from that.
Okay. It is still passes with a 7-1 abstention. I guess the other is just housekeeping monthly reports, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So y'all we have to vote on the tip, drip photo?
We're getting ready.
That's coming up,
We're getting ready.
221.
Yeah. Yep, all right. I'm gonna give it to you.
So Properties Committee, Sarah, if you want to jump in, I can handle, I guess. Properties Committee asked us to look at the fee schedules. The little spreadsheet in the back looks at, Amelia's 2449, Appomattox 3025, Buckingham 44, which is what we charge them. Cumberland 6834, Nottaway 37, Lunenburg 34, Charlotte 40, Town of Farmville 3850. The adjacent average is 39.57. We're currently at 38.50. We're just proposing to bump it up $1.50 to $40 per ton, leave the out-of-county at 44 per ton. We may want to look at that in the future, but again, with, especially with Cumberland coming on board as a private, that's going to be competition for us, so we don't want to adjust that one yet. We want to wait and see where that falls. The other thing is that we're spending $150 a ton to deal with tires, and we're only charging 75. It only makes sense to charge what it's costing us. So the proposal is to up the in-county from 38.50 to 40, leave the out-of-county at 44, and increase the commercial tires from 75 a ton to 150 a ton.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion made and properly seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bobby? Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
And that would be
Yes.
effective July 1 as well.
Correct.
What do the commercial, like, what would a media charge, or not, of course, they're not county owned, but like the place of commerce, what do you think, you have any idea what kind of per ton charge they gonna have?
44.
Yeah, they'll probably try to find the sweet spot where they might be able to poach some
Right.
other counties, is my
Right.
guess.
Yeah,
42 maybe for the first year.
they'll undercut our rate, 'cause we're,
Dollar
We're one of the few counties that takes out of county.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's correct.
so that, they would be shooting for us.
Yeah, and you've got, you know, private company, like Lunenburg, in Amelia, some other counties, but you got trucking costs. The farther you get away, the
Right.
trucking costs come into play, so, I think we'll have to revisit and see where they land, but it depends on, maybe they're trying to attract trash from the Richmond area or
Say,
from somewhere
when
else.
Amelia first started, they really had to underbid tremendously because they had Shoesmith and everybody else around Richmond, so they didn't want them, in order to attract it to begin with.
I knew in Warren, they'd shut down the Page County landfill, we were paying $20 a ton at BFI's landfill in Richmond. And of course, we were paying $15 to ship it. But it was still more cost effective than paying like $40 at one of the other landfills, so. But you try to shop it around to find the best price, but you gotta look at the mileage.
Yeah, because it is a moneymaker for us.
Yeah. It keeps the cost to our residents down because we're bringing in outside trash.
Doug, are you getting copied on NMSI correspondence with the presidents?
Yes,
Could you send me a copy of those?
yes, sir.
I'm not getting copied on that.
Okay.
Are we thinking about expanding the landfill, or we?
So, we actually had a talk with Bob Hunley. So we've got a couple years left in the current cell. We've got to start thinking, just like this 100 to 175 ton, we don't want to get caught up against that limit. So we're already starting that discussion with them. We've actually got to put out our landfill an RFP for engineers. It doesn't mean we can't end up in the same firm, but we got to do that as well. But yeah, it's time for us to start thinking about
We have
expansion.
room for one more cell towards the road, is that correct?
That's correct. And then you're into going, basically adding property to the permit and expanding the facility as a whole. We've got, obviously, y'all have had the foresight to buy additional land. We've got, you got plenty of property.
Just getting it permitted and.
Yeah.
Have they started building the shop?
They've, I think, started to grade out, working on grading out they haven't poured concrete or anything yet. That's coming.
Got rid of that single wide trailer?
I don't think they've done that yet. I've just been dealing with, he's about got the Mac ready. He's been trying to get all the equipment issues worked out. But plan is this summer is to put that shop building up.
One other thing, what do we have to do to get something on the ballot as far as appointing school board members rather than electing them?
I'd asked Terry to look into that, and she sent me the thing today. There's clock's ticking. You've got till July to get, it's like 111 days prior to the, to be able, and it has to be the board. Does the board, do we actually have to go get petitions signed? Yeah.
And how many signatures do you need to get on that?
So for everybody else's edification, to get school board to have them elected takes a petition to put them on the ballot, and the voters have to approve it. It's the same process to take them back off and have them go back to appointed.
You know, it's interesting, none of the school board members before they're up for election have gotten signatures. They're all going on write-in.
That's true. I
It's
know
not-
one of them is, because
It's
that's all
not,
of them.
it's not just Prince Edward County either. This is a problem in a lot of counties where people don't wanna,
They don't want
they
to.
don't wanna run.
They don't.
Well, I don't think anybody likes to run for office, but on an appointed situation, I think we have better people. And I say that, I really don't have any problem with the ex-teachers and so forth, I just don't think they have the background for it.
You know what I'm talking about.
I think it's a percentage of voters, isn't it? Elected, voters
Yeah,
for the referendum.
yeah.
Is it 5% or something like that?
5% of the population?
No,
I think it's
Registered
voters.
voters.
Registered voters?
If you would like, we can get Terry to send us an email. You know, when the clock's ticking, you don't have much time if the board wanted to have her draft something, but then you gotta get people to consider walking those out and getting signatures and certifying the petition. It's a,
Is this a board action thing or just?
Well, let's put it this way, the board or the school board, I believe, in reading that language can basically draft the petition, I think, Terry, I think the way at the end of that.
Private citizens.
Private citizens can, I think, do that as well.
That's a
Can
referendum.
also with a certain, they can, but this particular one, either or, but what they're reading now is that the board, the school board or the board of supervisors could ask for it and then get the correct number of signatures to go before circuit court. Is that correct, Terry?
Yes.
That's how that reads.
But just, you basically, we're 30 days out. So there's not a lot of time to, put something together if that was, either the school board or the board had that. I know I checked a couple weeks ago with Lynette, and I don't think of the 4 seats up, I think everybody had picked up packets, but that nobody had turned in signatures at
That's
that time.
strange, man.
Now, it could have been, was it today the deadline, but it could have been done by. It didn't do it.
Last,
saying that's
today's the
very
deadline,
unusual.
but last night's when that she was asked to have an
I mean, it's first,
How many years now have we had elected school board? This is
first, this, last time,
4 years, isn't it?
4 years.
4 years.
Almost 4
Yeah.
years.
Oh, yeah.
It's been more than that.
Has it been more?
it's been 4.
Been more than that. It
Sarah,
was
do you remember?
Before I came on the board,
No, I haven't been born in
probably 6, maybe 5.
I think it was the last time we ran. I mean, the last,
Was
the last hour,
Maybe
last
so.
election.
On the same.
Oh, yeah.
On the same ballot, okay,
year.
be 4 years, be
Yeah,
coming up.
4
on
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
Referendum kind of held once every 4 years.
Yeah.
It's a issue, I was gonna say a problem, it's not necessarily a problem, it's an issue that you can't get people that wanna serve on it. I mean, they just don't wanna,
Would you do it?
no, sir.
I told Jerry, I would either.
Not,
Not only got people fussing you about money, but they got fussing about my
oh,
child.
I was gonna say, as you all very well know, that wouldn't work very good for me. I don't,
Yeah.
I wasn't an angel, and I don't believe anybody else raised it, including the people sitting here. I'll just tell you right now, what I think of you
I
kids.
tell you though, it's the right side, don't want nobody run,
Yeah.
to do the right thing, that's one right in, that's,
The largest thing we fund in the county.
that's
That's-
right.
that's-
That's,
and
that's
we
a
don't
major
get-
concern.
What you just said is a huge thing. We sit here every single Tuesday for several months and don't get any input from the people in the community or whatever else, when the largest amount of the money that we take in
Go to
goes
the
towards
school.
school,
That's right.
and no one
they're-
weighs in as to, hey, we think this or that. I mean, they might at the end say, hey, it looks like y'all would give a little money or shouldn't have, or what, but I mean, it's not any.
But most people aren't aware, when I was out getting signatures, I passed out that letter I'd gotten from NASA and so forth. And people's mouth dropped open when I said the schools weren't accredited. They didn't have a clue. And they couldn't believe it.
It is a disconnect somewhere. I guess that's the way to say it. It's a disconnect
And
somewhere.
I'd be happy to bet money with anybody here that there's going to be no change. In other words, with all the help we're getting and so forth, the superintendent, and I will go on record, and as I say, I will bet money, the superintendent is not capable of doing what needs to be done.
We have issues there. There is no doubt about it.
And as I say, believe me, I've been working on this a long way, but I have no hope of anything happening.
It's a shame too, that's our most valuable asset in our county.
Is our education, kids' education?
Jim, what was the ranking you told me the other day at the other meeting?
314.
We ranked 314 out of 327.
340.
And in other words, we're in the bottom 4%. And schooldigger.com is a place, they get all the information from the state and so forth. And they said they use the word worst, 4% in the state.
The simple fact that we are not accredited does hurt us in so many ways. I got a conversation, for lack of how to say that, a conversation with someone this week that said that the school system is hurting you all as far as getting a lot of the
Well-
larger corporation things come because people want to look at your school system and whatever else. And this was a person that's big in the financial side. And they said, look, so we can just tell you that even from, let's just say Wells Fargo or whatever else, a big company is not going to have anything come there because your school system is not up to par with what they consider. And I said, I appreciate the information coming from someone that's on the outside that doesn't make any difference to them either way. They just said, this is some information. you
I
ought to
think it'll
pass on.
affect the data center.
It could.
Something
I
we,
hate to say it, but I expect that if schools don't get better, data centers will be like our hospital and our colleges. They're gonna be all coming up 307 to Brandonville in the morning and going back that way.
Right.
But I don't think-
I'm, as part of Dr. Johnson coming here, I'm going to the school board tomorrow night and certainly,
what's our concern?
no, it's my report, but
Okay.
part of it is
I'm
just
saying-
me extending the olive branch saying, look, we're here to help. Whatever we want y'all, the community, I've heard it loud and clear, we need to improve the school system.
Gotta be a
And-
first
and
step.
some of that is facilities, and I had the tour of the high school today, I've already toured the elementary school. High school's gonna need some work too, and, trying to figure out, what comes first and what we can afford to do and all that stuff. And, again, I like the sales tax idea, Bobby, you've thrown out there, and I had talked to Delegate Edmonds' office, and I think that could be a good option. We gotta start game planning now to figure out where we're going, if we're gonna go to the General
But
Assembly.
Doug,
this year.
I heard from people, and I don't know, but not to put words in Odessa's mouth, but I think Odessa may have mentioned this too, but, people are not overly excited about new schools and things like that until they see some progress as far as, getting schools accredited more.
I'll say there is a little chicken and the egg, and it is, I think you can build pride with taking some steps on the facilities. You're not going to get good teachers in that elementary school as long as that roof has 10 leaks. And
Oh,
so,
I mean, I know we need to work on.
so
some
I
things,
think
but-
you gotta approach it from both directions, but I think that, if the board is supporting the efforts to provide good facilities, that'll help them recruit and help them
Certainly.
pay and bring in some good
Work
teachers.
environment is
Yeah.
important.
Yes, sir. One other item I think that the chairman has asked me about the potential, we're sending flowers to the Cove family for the service tomorrow. They've asked for, in lieu of flowers, also potentially a donation. The chairman had mentioned possibly doing a $100 donation to the Prince Edward Rescue Squad, which benefits everybody in this community.
On their list.
And so with that, the board would need to make a motion for us to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'll
So
move we
moved.
do that.
So there's a motion made and seconded. Ms. Pride,
Yes.
myself, yes. Patty,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Bobby, Jerry, and Luke.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Dave, I would like to make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been sitting up listening very intently. I've been chosen to serve as the vice chair of the Education Committee of VACO. In fact, we have a summit coming up in August. And one of the head people from VACO texted me today, he wants to talk to me. It's gonna be interesting. I looked at the different counties on that committee. I'm a vice chair, and our county has a very low rating. I mean, it's interesting, I'm gonna be in this group of people. They're gonna be looking at Prince Edward. I mean, we look at all of the counties. And that's gonna be an interesting meeting. That's all I can say.
Would you give us a report on it?
Oh, most definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll bring something back that might help.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe somebody will have some.
And the other point I was gonna make is that the school board has to be willing to accept our help and suggestions.
That's right,
And until that happens,
that's right.
come on.
Dr. Pride, do you think it would benefit if this board met with the school board?
Oh, I do. I mean, I would like to
if,
see
you
that
know,
happen.
If anything, to
Well,
listen
yeah.
to
At least
them.
talk. We
Yes.
could take, David with the chair, and I with the vice chair, just to sit down to see if we can make strides.
Be glad to. I
I
know,
think that-
well, we've had, Ms. Pride and Patty and I have met, you know, and Doug too. I mean, I've met with them more than one time on different occasions about part of it through the budget and whatever else, but I think that you made an extremely valid point just now that a lot of people don't think about. Regardless of what we do at this point with them being elected school board, they don't have to take our advice.
No,
The-
no.
Exactly.
the
Not
only-
only have to, they won't.
That's right. The
No.
only thing that we have is what I hear is that you all hold the purse strings. And I said, that's not necessarily true either. In a sense, we do, but we're required by law for a certain part of that. So it's not even, not that we want to, but it's
Right.
not even that we could withhold the funding
No, we
to,
can't.
over them to begin with. So I
Legally, we
mean, it's
can't do
not a,
that.
we really don't have that. So I think that you made an extremely valid point, Ms. Pride, is that until they're willing to accept some help or whatever the word is, guidance, straight talk, or whatever you want to say, it's kind of a tough, it's an impossible situation. It's not tough, it's impossible.
Professional
Yeah.
group come in and help with the school and.
Maybe with leave of the chair tomorrow night, I'll offer maybe coming to the vice chair and chair at some point, at least sit down, and then we can,
Okay.
then later get the full board and school board, but at least if we just go in there and maybe hammer out if we're gonna have an agenda, let's talk about what we wanna talk about, with full
We've
board.
done it before.
Yep.
And quite a few times Bobby or Jim answer questions, they just totally ignore it,
Just
refuse.
don't even
Didn't even
answer.
answer.
No responses, so.
That's because Bobby and I are in trouble, man.
You didn't invent that design, did you, Bobby? I got a break there, Bobby. I'll be glad to, I'm sure Ms. Pride will too, and I'll come back to the board and tell you what, you know, whatever, but we have a problem in our community with our school system not being up to par. That's just what it boils down to. And you hear it, I've heard it from teachers that have left, I heard it from some teachers that had applied, that decided not to, and the question to me was, is it all about money? Because that's what I heard, it's, you know, it's about
Yeah,
money.
That's what they say, but it's not
It's
just
not, no,
money.
the teachers specifically told me that it was not about money.
Do
'Cause
they
it-
have a PTA now?
I don't know.
No.
Well, it amazed me that they didn't have a PTA for years, and I thought they'd try to get it going again.
I
But
was,
that's what you need, is the parents
The
get
parents
involved,
have to
too.
be involved, that's
hey, I
exactly.
was for years, I increased their PTA membership by 420%.
Well, but
That's
I'm
what they
right now,
need,
you got
that's right.
And,
5 people to join it, that.
That's right, that's 500% right there.
but I mean,
really a bad
we
show.
made it work.
Yeah,
We really did.
yeah, you get,
Rowena Lamonnier,
uh-huh.
she was on there with me. I think Gwendolyn
Booker
Booker
Ayers.
Acres.
Acres, yep.
Yeah, she was on there. I mean, we made it run.
Well, that's what.
And that's
And
what it
I
takes,
was
it takes,
smart.
it
Hey,
takes,
I was smart. I did big fundraiser things, and my husband worked at a furniture company, so his job would donate. All you needed was a pickup truck. You could win you some furniture.
and
I
it
did
takes,
everything to entice them
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make it work, and then we were able to buy. Teachers had a wish list. They could tell us they got all those new computer things that they had never had before. All they had to do was make a wish list, and we purchased all of them. The state said, okay, you've raised almost $25,000. If you don't stop now, you're gonna lose your 501c3 status. So we cut it off for that year.
but you're right, if the parents who have students there are not involved or they don't care enough, it's certainly not up to an elected
Nope.
group to,
Patty, were you
To
happy
fix it.
with, when you were appointing them with the one you had from Rice?
Was I happy with
Yeah,
Susan?
I don't remember who you
Yeah,
had.
Susan.
Yeah, Lawman.
And I
Lawman, right?
I was, I had Ellery and I was delighted.
Yeah, Susan was real good.
it's the having to run certainly deters people from wanting to do it. I mean, it's a pain, isn't it, Lou? This year especially, it's a pain this year of all times because people they don't want you to visit, it's a pain, but anyway.
And
By the way, if there is a joint meeting and whatnot with the school board, I can keep quiet because I really said all, you know, that I can
Is
say.
that possible?
Oh, really, and I mean, I'm serious, I can,
No, I'm just teasing.
We'll definitely bring it up that we'll have another meeting and see where it goes from there. That's all
You
we
only
can do.
can ask.
That's right. Only ask.
That's it.
Anything else from the board? If not, we're adjourning tonight.
So move. Until our next meeting is
Second.
July the 2nd? No, the 13th.
13th.
13th, not the 13th.
Been moved and second.
All right.
Vote.
Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Patty?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby? Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
Yes.
You guys, ladies and gentlemen, have.